Gordon, what is in this box?
Hey, this has got the big news of the day. Intel Core i9 laptop, the first one I've seen outside the control of Intel and an OEM. Alienware 17, yes, the big mama jama. Alienware 17 R5. We're going to unbox it. And because people want to see the box, you have to see the box. I can't take it out beforehand or you get upset. This has not been opened. I will say for the nitpickers, these machines often come straight from the lab, so it may not do the startup stuff that a typical consumer will see, but this box has not been opened. I know you don't believe me anyway. I'm going to tell you it has not been opened, but let's open it up. Alienware 17.
Gordon, I like 17-inch laptops.
I like 17-inch laptops? Are you? So you're a big fan of 17?
I am.
Oh, I got it upside down. Sorry.
Upside down. Whoop.
But what are we getting here? Let's see. Woo!
That is a huge laptop.
This is not something you want to carry with you every day. But you know, I gotta say, for a 17-inch laptop, it's not bad. You look at that, that's fairly thin. You know, some of the Asus MSI, high-end, super powerful ones, they're fairly thick compared to this. Alienware generally wants to make things relatively thin, even though it's a big-ass screen, 17 inches. I think this one is a QVGA, 120 hertz G-Sync panel,
Nice.
WVA plus TN they call it, but we can see all the cooling because inside of here we have a Core i9 8950HK
Nice.
and a single GTX 1080 overclocked apparently out of the gate, up to 8 gigs. It comes with 8 gigs of RAM in it. The news, of course, is Core i9. For people who don't know, that is a 6-core processor. Yeah, you can get Core i7 with 6 cores as well, but Intel has reserved the Core i9 nomenclature for chips that are running at really high clocks. That means you got to have a lot of cooling to run, I would imagine. Well, let's find out where here's the power brick. Let's dig out the power brick.
Oh, the big old power brick. And then why don't you boot it up and we do some benchmarks?
Yeah, let's do a quick boot up on this.
We got room. I don't know where.
We're running out of
somewhere.
Room. So I'm going to plug it into our watt meter as well, just to see what we get.
So why is Core i9 so special, Gordon?
So Core i9 is so special, especially because I love the Core i7. These 6-core 8th gen parts, they are just awesome chips. But Core i9 is special because it runs at a higher clock. It's all about the high clock speed. So I've got the numbers right here. So of course, it doesn't have the 8750. So the Core i7 8750H, pretty much, it'll push up to 4 gigahertz, 3.8 under a load down to 3.2 all cores. This baby in here with the Core i9 is supposed to hit 4.8 gigahertz in a laptop. All six. I doubt all 6 cores, but it'll still have 4.8 on probably 1 or 2 threads, and of course it does actually overclock. Alienware says you can overclock this sucker up to 5 gigahertz. I don't know if that's all cores or not. Let's do a port count before I fire it up. Here we get USB. Interestingly, USB. That's a USB-C. That's USB 10 gig. We have, it looks like a standard 10 gig USB Type A. On the other side, another Type A, and this is something that's going to be somewhat controversial. We get our power, we get our gigabit Ethernet, we get mini DisplayPort, HDMI 2.0. Looks like might be Thunderbolt 3, and the amplifier port. Of course, people don't remember. God, it's been about 3 years when Alienware came out with the amplifier, which I still have right here. In fact, we have one right here. I'm going to pull it out.
We've got everything.
It's dusty. This is an Alienware amplifier. A lot of people said, oh, this is pretty cool. At the time, there were some haters too, because of course, everything is Thunderbolt 3 now. You run external graphics. Why in the world would you want to run a proprietary port for external PCI graphics? Alienware said, well, look, at the time, we're talking 3 years ago almost, you could not get Thunderbolt 3 in an external exposure. it barely worked anyway. Let's face it, Thunderbolt 3 has been a work in progress. As much as a lot of people want to hate on the amplifier, it had teething pains at first, but it has been rock solid for several years now. The best thing about the Alienware amplifier, though, this baby is about 150 bucks. It's like, you can find these all day on Amazon for $172. Sometimes down to $160, $150. That is a really good price for an external exposure.
But if you get a full desktop 1080 overclocked in here, why would you want this?
Well, the idea is, and again, if you bought a laptop when the amplifier came out with a 970M, 970M is getting a little long in the tooth. You want a little juice? Go to Amazon, pick up the amplifier for $160, $170. Drop in your 970 or whatever, a 1070 or 1060, or this is the thing Alienware says, look, we work with a lot more older cards than some Thunderbolt 3. Like, in fact, the RX 480 works in here, or Fury works in there. If you can get one, I guess that works. But okay, let's check this out. I believe this is, we're going to see, come on. So yeah, it is a G-Sync panel, and let's find out what the resolution is. Because I'm pretty sure, yes, it is a 1440p panel. So 1440p, 120 hertz. G-Sync monitor. But what I want to know, though, because we know what a GTX 1080 does, the quick benchmark I want to do is Cinebench. The highest I've seen out of the new 8th gen CPUs is about 1144. I saw that out of the MSI GS65 4-pound tiny laptop. But let's see what we're going to get out of this overclocked machine. That's what I'm very interested in seeing. Come on. What's up with this?
It's a pretty smooth panel.
It's a very smooth panel. You're also getting Tobii, the latest Tobii eye tracker.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So you got eye tracker. This, of course, a lot of people have done before, but this is definitely better integrated. You're getting the lit up trackpad. You can change the color on this to anything you want. You get the per key lighting. You get all the macro stuff. And I am very interested. This is only I'm gonna run this because this is gonna be a really fast benchmark if I can find it. Okay, so we're back. I've installed Cinebench. I've also installed Tomb Raider. It's the older Tomb Raider, maybe 2013 range. I actually like Tomb Raider because it's a great representation of games that still rely a bit on CPU. But first, let's crank up Cinebench. Of course, this is the world famous, very popular 3D rendering benchmark. Everybody uses this. I think it's a great benchmark. I'm gonna crank it up, because hopefully we have everything working now. We had some power state issues previously. The number to beat is 1350. I think that's going to be tough because that 1350 is from an Origin laptop. 17 inches, huge, big, thick, with a desktop Core i7 8700K. That means if you unplug that thing, that battery will drain faster than you can plug it back into the wall. Not really. This one actually should give you almost reasonable battery life unless you're gaming. 1300 out of that. On the other end, we have the MSI GS65 with a score of about 1100. So 8700K in a laptop, 1300. 8th gen 6-core 8750H in an MSI thin and light, about 1100. What do we get out of the Alienware? Remember, we are not overclocked. Oh, that's pretty good. So 1279, that's just shy of what we're getting out of that desktop 8700K part. And I got to tell you, I haven't even overclocked it yet. When I hit the overclock button, I think we're actually going to get better performance out of this Core i9. Let me make sure I get the part number right. Core i9 8950HK. So that's quite a feat. But
that's pretty good.
That is pretty good because 8700K is a good CPU, especially at those clocks. Let's quit out of here and see if I can get Cinebench, or let's see if I can actually get Tomb Raider to run this time. It is not liking me today, but let's see. Oh, here we go. Let's make sure. We're going to run this 1080p. I know you're saying 1080p in a 3 or 4 year old game, but this is the numbers I have for other gaming laptops. 1080p, ultimate setting, VSync off. Also, mind you, I've disabled G-Sync for performance testing. You should disable G-Sync because it can mess with the numbers a little bit. It is recommended that you turn it off. So we're going to hit play. I am running, of course, normally you would reboot it and you would not have other things running and you should be, disconnected from the internet, but let's just see. We're just kind of messing around here. We're going to crank that baby up. One thing I didn't mention, I really am a favor of, you can't see it, but underneath the keyboard, Alienware has actually reinforced the keyboard right under the WASD keys. There's actually an additional pillar and some steel under there to make sure you don't destroy your keyboard by mashing it. Yeah. So there's some things that people don't know about that Alienware does in the laptops. I was just talking to Dan. He's not a big fan of the looks of it. I actually still like it, and what I really like are the lights. You get the lights.
I mean, the custom lights are awesome.
The custom lights, and you can change these lights to whatever color you want.
You get that extra inch on the back.
Yeah, that extra inch. You know, that's...
in Hayden's review of the last one, he said, you know, he couldn't really use this on a plane because it was just too big.
Yeah, and if he plugged it in and turned it on, he would have made the plane shut an engine off. It's not a good idea. The Tobii Eye Tracker, this latest version, you can see there's an array of LEDs. I have not seen this. I'm used to those kind of bigger LEDs. And if you're not standing in front of this thing, it'll dim the screen, which kind of bugs me a little bit. That's going to be a problem for power testing. We'll have to disable Tobii for that. And what are we getting? Oh,
scores.
Scores 177.9. So again, that is Tomb Raider circa 2013 1080p ultimate setting. VSync off, obviously. And 177, you want to know how that compares. A Kaby Lake G, no slouch of a laptop. I mean, you know, it's not bad. 75 frames a second out of a Spectre X360 That's with the Kaby Lake G. That's pretty respectable. We're up here at 177. The Stealth, the GS65 Stealth with a GTX 1066 gig. That's a full tilt 1060 GeForce part. 97 frames a second. So 177, really good. Oh, here's another one, a Micro Center power spec. We were seeing 139 out of a GTX 1070. So we are getting 177 out of a 1080. And what you want to know though is what we got out of that Eon, the Origin PC Eon. Again, the one with the full-on 8700K desktop part and a GTX 1080. That was pushing 184 frames a second. We're pushing 177. We're right in the ballpark, and I haven't overclocked this yet. I think if you goose that CPU a little bit, you actually, this one particular game, you do get a little more performance. So we are getting very decent scores out of this Core i9.
Nice. But Gordon, what's the cost of this thing? What are you really having to pay?
So the cost of this baby, I think, I could be wrong here, but I believe with your 2560 by 1440, 120 hertz G-Sync panel, your GTX 1080, your Core i9 CPU, 512 gig NVMe SSD, and the 1 terabyte SSD. I think you're looking about $3,000. In fact, I was looking earlier on Alienware, and it looked like about 3,100 bucks. I'm not sure if I have the exact same configuration. You're also getting Tobii Eye Tracker, 3,000 bucks. It's pretty stiff, but you know, honestly, gaming laptops, that is not bad, because it used to be to get the very tippy top of gaming laptops, you were looking at $5,000. So things have gotten better. Obviously, this is not for everybody, because that's still a lot of money for a gaming laptop, but it is fairly thin too. I mean, we're looking at, it's almost portable. I wouldn't want to carry this in a bag anywhere, but you could do it. You know, this will be interesting. I think this will be controversial, the use of the Alienware amplifier port. Everybody wants to see Thunderbolt 3. I haven't verified with Alienware if it will work with Thunderbolt 3, but I think they're thinking, you know what? We got these amplifiers. We got a warehouse of them. They go for about 160 bucks. It's a good option for when the GPU in this is no good anymore. So I guess that's reasonable. I would like to see both amplifier and Thunderbolt 3 support for the future, but hell, not bad. But performance, impressive. Core i9 1080 overclocked, and I haven't even hit the overclock button yet.